Hello there, John Coturillo here, the counsellor of your listener. Thank you for joining me for this episode. As usual, thank you to everybody who makes this work possible. Also, as usual, if you are concerned about yourself or somebody else, never take what you find on the internet or in the media as advice. If you have concerns about yourself or somebody else, please seek advice from a professional or somebody else that you trust. If you are seeking counselling from me in Australia, you can find my contact details in the description of this episode. In today's episode, I have a brief philosophical reflection to make on whether my ideas are actually my own. Now, I'm not saying that I've stolen, but I received a compliment once from someone who had listened to my podcast considerably and said, "I like that you have your own ideas." Now, I'm certainly grateful for those compliments. It's flattering, but it prompted me to think, are my ideas really my own? Or are they simply ideas that exist and people are free to acknowledge them? Consider the nature of my work. I talk to people about how the mind operates. I give perspectives on how we can better use our minds to live healthier lives psychologically, and also how we can be better consumers of information, better at distancing ourselves emotionally from subjects and looking at them more objectively in a factual way, discovering truths that we may not have been able to understand if we looked at things if we consider those subjects in too biased a fashion. Providing insights that are often not provided elsewhere, providing ideas on how I conduct my life that may inspire other people. All of these may be unique in the sense that they are all presented in the one place in context in which the ideas are not normally presented alongside each other, and often what I present is often not presented, and often what I present isn't presented elsewhere. But that doesn't mean they're my ideas. I cannot create the conditions in the world that make certain ideas truthful or logical. I can only acknowledge them. And at the same time, my approach to living life is not something that I invented. And in the end, is it really possible to invent those lifestyles? For example, the fact that I'm a minimalist, or the fact that I conduct my housework in a certain way, or the fact that I conduct my work in a certain way. The fact that I'm assembling components into a working system, can I really take credit for making that system? I don't think so, because it doesn't appear to me that the components of those systems themselves and those frameworks themselves are so elusive that other people wouldn't be equally as capable of assembling them. I don't want to minimize the significance of people who make discoveries, people who invent new methodologies, who invent devices, who invent, for example, healthcare, different medical treatments or psychotherapeutic treatments. I don't want to minimize their contributions to society, but just considering the ideas that I present, what I want people to notice isn't necessarily the uniqueness of the ideas or the fact that I'm the person presenting them. I want them to notice the ethos, the way that I analyze, and I want them to be inspired to then undertake their own analysis and introspect on how their mind works and how they can be better consumers of information. So those are just my thoughts. I'm not sure if I can really take credit for these being my ideas. I do take credit for being passionate about them and for expressing them well, but whether they're my ideas or not, that's hard to judge. As a counsellor, I receive referrals from others, and I also like to help my audience become aware of resources and other providers which may be beneficial, as well as help other individuals and organisations gain exposure. That's why I host the Your Listener Partner Network, and I'd like to thank my partners for their support. I'd like to introduce the Southeastern Suicide Prevention Network. The Southeastern Suicide Prevention Network is a volunteer community group working across the southeast of Melbourne, Australia. The network's goals are to raise awareness of suicide, reduce stigma regarding it, and build resilience through education and community engagement. They operate community projects and events. These include a memorial service in December, speaking engagements, and their annual Spotlighting Bullying exhibition, which invites schools, artists, and local groups to explore themes of kindness, belonging, and emotional well-being through art. Contact them at sesuicideprevention@gmail.com. So thank you for joining me for this reflection. As per usual, if you have concerns about yourself or somebody else, never take what you find on the internet as advice. Please seek advice from a professional or somebody else that you trust. If you are seeking counselling from me in Australia, you can find my contact details in the description of this episode. If you have feedback on the program, if you'd like to be a guest or like to suggest a topic or otherwise, please contact me. I love to hear from my audience. And until next time, take care.